Hey all, what's up everybody? Tim with today's SCE. I believe wherever you're at, you all are doing awesome, and thanks so much for watching. So, the title for today's clip is Nothing Outside of Yourself. And what I want to talk about today is really going after a lie and a way of thinking that a lot of us have been sucked into, and it's really been pushed on us by the social mainstream and by the media and by just about everything that we're exposed to from the time we're very little, to the point where we get so programmed into this way of thinking that it becomes our subconscious state of being, and it just becomes our natural way of acting. Excuse me. And it's really, really damaging to our self-esteem and our self-confidence and our overall worth as people. And the lie is the one that says that there is something outside of you that you need, that once you get, it's going to complete you as a person. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, from the time we're very young, we are bombarded with commercials and magazine ads and social pressure to think that if I get X, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be complete, and I am going to be whole. And that can look like a certain kind of car, it can look like a relationship, it can look like a certain job or a position or a title, it can be a success, it can be some kind of athletic achievement, it can be all kinds of different things, right? You know, for men, we're told that we need to drive a certain kind of sports car, or we need to drive an SUV, or wear a certain kind of cologne or a certain brand of clothes. Ladies, for you, a certain kind of handbag or a certain kind of high heels, or you need to be vacationing at a certain resort, or you need to have a certain title or make X number of dollars per year. Once you get to that point, man, you're going to have it made and your life is going to be great. Everything's going to be awesome. And that's simply not true. And I was guilty of pursuing that for a long, long time. And I found a couple of things happen to me. Number one, I found that no matter what I achieved, and let me caveat this by saying that I'm a big proponent of achievement and goals. I think they're great. I think they're awesome. But when they become linked to our identity, and when we hang our identity hat on what we have or who we know or how much we make, that's a recipe for disaster. So I found that, when you achieve these things, the enjoyment you get from them is typically pretty short-lived, right? For example, what did you get at Christmas? Can you even remember? It was like a month ago. Can you remember what you got? Probably not. And, it might keep us happy for a month if we're lucky, or a week, sometimes not even a day. And then the joy of that stuff wears off, and boom, we're right back to pursuing the next thing. Second thing that happens is when we lose those things, then we become less than, because we've tied them to our identity. We think, well, I don't have this now, so I'm not okay. I've lost this relationship, so I'm not okay. I've lost this position, so I'm not whole or complete as a person. And that's totally a lie. The truth is that you don't need anything outside of you to complete you. And here's a question that you and I have to ask ourselves. And I went through some painful experiences that had me look at this and, help me with this. The question is, if you were to lose everything tomorrow, who are you? And what purpose does your life have? You look at those people who've gotten everything in life and who've self-destructed, people like Elvis and John Belushi and Kurt Cobain, right? They got everything life could provide, and yet it still wasn't enough, and they found there was still the emptiness there, and they suicided. Or the people, in the stock market, the financial tycoons a couple of years ago, who when Wall Street crashed and they lost everything they had, their life went into the garbage can because their identity was tied to how much they made or the titles they had. And when that went away, they thought, my life has no meaning, no purpose. And they self-destructed. And that's a lie, and it's happened to me in the past, and I've had to work really, really hard to overcome it. And the way that I found this helpful is you have to live out of the core of who you are. And what I mean by that is, number one, my faith is hopefully the foundation or the bedrock of my life, because when you're locked into something eternal, then things can come and go and they don't matter, because your constant is bigger than you are. The second thing is, we are all hardwired with our personality, and our personality produces our passion and ultimately our purpose. And when we live from a purpose standpoint, when we live out of our purpose and for our contribution, everything else becomes secondary. It doesn't matter what we have or what we don't have, because we know our life isn't about what we own or what we've achieved or what we've done. It's about the contribution that we make and why we're here. And typically your purpose is something you love to do. You're in love with it. You can do it 24/7. You can do it whether you're paid $1 million a year or no dollars a year, right? For me, it's speaking and teaching. It doesn't matter if I'm speaking to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people, or if I'm speaking to 2 or 3, or if I'm just speaking to myself and you like I am in the car right now. I love it. I can do it all the time. And I'm going to walk away from this experience with a tremendous sense of fulfillment and value. And you know, when you live from that purpose standpoint and you're finding ways to execute it and finding ways to practice it, your life becomes magnificent and it becomes enriched and fulfilling. But when you're living for the external stuff, you're living from a lie, and it's never going to fill it. It's never going to work. And the other interesting thing is when we live from our purpose and we live from that passion, that opens the door for magnificent levels of success. And typically all the things that we're after come, but they come freely. And we're also able to give them up. We're non-attached because we know that if we produced them before, we can produce them again. And there's tremendous freedom in that. So the essence of my message today is a little more esoteric than normal, but it's, you know, asking you a couple questions. Do you know who you are? Do you know what your purpose and your passion is? Are you living from that, or are you pursuing things outside of yourself in the belief that they're going to make you happy? Because guess what? They never will. But when you get into that deep sense of identity and you find out who you really are and you come to love and accept yourself and you recognize the total unbelievable magnificence of the passion and the purpose that you've been wired with, and you start to practice that every day is going to be awesome. And it's going to take you to not only levels of success, but levels of significance and fulfillment that you've only dreamed about. And all that other stuff that you're chasing is going to come, but it's going to be a complement. It's not going to be the main essence of who you are. And you're going to find yourself rising to the surface. Look, people don't typically, you and I don't like other people for their stuff. We like them for who they are. And people are drawn to you for who you are. So take the volume knob on that and amplify it and live from there. What are you awesome at? Because that's what you're here to do, and that's the contribution you're here to make. Practice that as much as you can. Let that become the obsessive focal point of your life. Live from there, and all those other things will come into play. But if you're chasing anything else, I guarantee you the trail is a dead end, and it won't produce the result you're looking for. So I'm encouraging you today to pursue that. Hope you found that helpful. Tim from the LV, wishing you an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon.